Friends, at Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, Hyderabad branch, Vijayawada branch, as well as online, we are providing UPSC Mains guidance and mentorship program along with test series, evaluation, feedback. If you are opting for offline, you will also be provided with a specified study hall only for the candidates who cleared prelims examination, so that the mains candidates can compete, can share their knowledge. After writing the mains exams, they can compare the answers. And our mentors, along with me, we have mentors, not only B5, we have a large team also along with us. But today B5 are sitting and discussing about the mentorship program. We will be evaluating the papers instantly within 1 or 2 days time. We will give the feedback. Also value addition. For example, students who are preparing for mains, they need guidance in how to score more marks with little efforts. For example, if you take polity, whatever questions may come in the examination, there are some common points which you can add to almost every answer. For example, National Commission to Review the Working of Constitution, Justice Venkatachalaya Commission. We can mention it in almost every polity answer. Or Law Commission reports, Parliamentary Committee reports, Ministry white papers we can mention. Similarly, in economy, environment, or IR, we can use Sustainable Development Goals. Or almost any question in disaster management, we can mention HIGO framework, Sendai framework. So like that, there are some common points. For example, second ARC reports, the important chapters names can be used in ethics, economy, polity, governance, society, essay writing we can use. Also, there are some important articles in the Constitution of India. For example, Article 48 can be used in any point of environment. Article 50, 51 can be used anywhere in art and culture or interrelations. Like that, some fundamentals which students can use to enrich the answers rather than by hearting specific facts like MS Swaminathan Committee Report for Agriculture or Meena Kumari Commission for Fisheries. Like, along with those things, these broad things are very important. So this is what we do. We help them in brainstorming. As we have few students who are together preparing for mains with us in Hyderabad or Vijayawada, we will be able to help you better. We have as I told you, specified mentors, study hall, hostel, ecosystem for such students, so that we can groom them over next 2.5 months and get good ranks. Today with me, I have other mentors. Vasanthi is already a UPSC ranker. Divya Thakur ma'am and Vinay Kumar sir and Harish appeared in UPSC interview, and they are masters of UPSC mains. We also have Ajay Gupta with us, who does mentorship. He will be available throughout the day only for the candidates who are writing UPSC mains. He got rank in UPSC Civil Services and IFS also. So we have such kind of team. So friends, today in the short discussion, we want to tell you how the UPSC in the last few years is evolving in GS 1, 2, 3, 4 essay writing, general studies, and how the paper is coming. We want to analyze it and tell you how to prepare in the next 2.5 months for these papers. Each of us will be discussing about each subject. To start with GS1, for example, from the history. In history, last year 7 to 8 questions have come. Art and culture questions are interlinked with Society of India. For example, Chandala art form, Harappa architecture. The questions are focusing on the art and culture of those times, how they are reflecting the socio-cultural activities of those times. Similarly, when the questions are about post-independent history or world history, they are asking about the relevance of those movements with the present times. For example, they ask how French Revolution, what we can learn from it in the present day world. So questions are like that in history. So in our mains test series also, we are focusing on such kind of questions. While evaluating also, we are drawing parallels in such a way. Even when you take the geography, the questions are not standalone geography. For example, geography SNT are interlinked. Last year questions are on artificial intelligence, drones, about GIS, about remote sensing. Similarly, in human geography, the questions are resource oriented. That means offshore and onshore oil reserves. And the questions are, about physical geography interlinked with environment. How the sea level rise is affecting the island nations. So this pattern and trend we are analyzing. Based on that, we are asking our students to focus on certain topics. write answers in certain way. Even if you take essay writing, which is most ignored, essay writing gives 250 marks, and entire geography, history, society together gives 250 marks. So essay writing, if you can focus, we can score very high, almost 140, 150 can be scored, which is impossible in GS 1, 2, and 3. In essay writing, the questions are like, for example, truth knows no color, or the best lessons are learned from bitter experiences. These kind of statements in our 2.5 months Mains answer writing program, mentorship, guidance, and evaluation, what we train them is how to score marks by adding economy dimensions. Not only the present economy, but 1947, 1967 economy. From those experiences, what we can learn now. Even historically, what happened with the moderates, from them, what extremists learned. From extremists, what the later revolutions learned. So like that, even topics like muddy waters are best cleared by leaving them alone. So how to interpret that? How to give examples? How to add current affairs? How to keep the essay simple, understandable? So all the qualities mentioned in UPSC notification about essay writing will be explaining them, keeping in mind the present pattern. So preparation should be directed based on the demand of examination, changing patterns. So as we have the candidates who score very high marks as mentors, along with expert faculty, our mentors will be there throughout the day to help. And our mission is every candidate who comes to us for mains answer writing guidance shall score highest marks in general studies. And it can be done. It can be done. Now, I want to pass it on to Vinay sir, who will talk about Society of India. The weightage is increasing. The questions are asked in history also. And also, you can speak about international relations also, IR. IR also, the questions pattern is changing. Yes, please, Vinay.
As when it comes to society, it is one section where you can easily score marks. It is like low-hanging area, and which is being ignored by many aspirants. Like you just have to talk about how the social change is impacting all the social institutions like family, marriage, kinship. What are the contemporary trends in them? And women-related issues are being asked. So in women-related issues, we have to look into areas like unpaid labor, feminization of old age, feminization of agriculture, these type of areas. And crime against women is the most repeated areas. Now you see recently domestic violence and violence against women, domestic violence and dowry prohibition is in the news. So that the salient features are very much important in the contemporary trends. Tribal issues, Great Nicobar project is in the news. So what is this integration approach with respect to tribes, which is given by Nehru, tribal consciousness, that is very much important. Then when it comes to caste system, caste census is in the news. So critically evaluate caste census. Just merely by announcing caste census is not a victory. So that can be prospective questions. When it comes to impact of globalization, what is globalization? How can we focus on that? And when it comes to care economy is in the news. Like silver economy, elderly population is in the news. So these are the broader themes which are repeatedly asked. So these, if you look, there are hardly 20 to 25 most repeated themes that can be looked and that can be discussed. And go for intersectionality approach. UPSC is focusing on intersectionality, how inequality is being impacted by caste, gender, class. That intersectionality is being asked. So repeated themes, these are the repeated themes in society. All we have to do is broader themes. Based on this, you have to prepare.
So like how Vinay said, preparing for mains requires you to identify 20 to 30 broad themes, may it be history, geography, society, polity, whatever. We don't need to focus on every line of Lakshmikant for polity or every topic of NCERT for geography, not required. So we are here to identify those themes, we'll push you in the direction. And if you can identify those themes only, you can finish everything in 85 days for mains. Otherwise, if you run through entire syllabus or all the books, it's impossible to become strong. Now, similarly, polity and governance, which is a major part of GS paper 2. Divya Thakur ma'am, please tell your analysis of how the questions are coming and how students should approach GS2.
Sir, if we discuss about GS paper 2, so apart from international relations, so the subjects we are left with are the polity, governance, and a small part of social justice. So if we start with polity, so in fact, if we talk about all the three subjects, so the basic thing is, first thing is to analyze the previous year questions. See, analyzing the previous year questions is not a small thing, because if you analyze past 10 to 12 year papers, around 60 to 70% themes, I'm not saying the topic, 60 to 70% themes are always repeated. So if you are starting your mains preparation, so this will make your preparation very easy, because you don't have to focus on each and every word of the syllabus. You just have to focus on the topics which are continuously being repeated. So at least you will be sure that, okay, out of 20 questions in the paper, easily I can answer 10 to 12 questions. So this is a very big confidence, because if 5 to 6 questions no one is able to answer, so same condition will be with you also. So it doesn't matter, I think. So first thing in GS paper 2, if we talk, so first thing is to analyze the previous year questions. So when it comes to the polity, so polity also has certain sections which are continuously being repeated. For example, if we talk about the theme of federalism, so under theme of federalism, many things can be asked. But if you read the question very clearly, then you will be able to understand, okay, this is related to federalism. So what all content I have prepared, I have tried that only. Some variations will be there based on the theme of the question which is asked. For example, the topic of local governance is continuously being repeated. The topic of constitutional bodies is continuously being repeated. So the thing is that instead of making notes of each and every topic of the syllabus, if you have very less time, you just take the theme which is continuously being repeated and keep on adding the content based on the questions which are asked year by year. For example, if I talk about the local governance, so 1 year maybe UPSC can ask the challenges. Obviously, solutions you will be giving, but in 1 year, focus is on challenges. Second year, focus is on the solutions. So in that way, your content will be keep on building. So this is the first thing. Focus on the PYQs. Based on the PYQs, please make your notes. After that, please focus on the Supreme Court judgments. In polity, it is very, very important. So please make a repository of Supreme Court judgments, because sometimes UPSC asks a very simple question. For example, so question can be asked, discuss the Supreme Court judgments related to social justice or related to environmental welfare, something like that. So if you are very well aware of all the Supreme Court judgments, easily you can get 4 or 5 marks in the 10-marker question. So please be well aware of Supreme Court judgments. Apart from that, whatever you are writing in the polity, whatever solutions you are giving, please focus that you have to start with the constitutional provisions or constitutional solutions. If you are, for example, federalism is a continuously repeated topic. So one of the solutions must be the interstate council, or one of the solutions you can quote any DCSP or any article of the constitution. So please remember that whatever answer you are writing of whichever paper, those keywords must be present in that paper. For example, if I am talking about polity, political terms must be there. If I am talking about governance terms must be there. For example, transparency, accountability. So these are the basic things about the polity. Similarly, we come about the governance. So in the governance, the main thing is UPSC is not asking a single theme. UPSC is asking about a broader theme. So please focus. If you analyze the PYQs of governance, no question on single theme is being asked. Maybe UPSC can ask 1 year or twice, but question is asked on broader themes. For example, recently Pradhan Mantri Viksit Bharat Guarantee Yojana is in news. UPSC won't ask question on this theme, but UPSC will ask a broader question. That no earlier Manrega scheme was there, now this scheme was changed. So what will be the impact on the local population? Or without giving the name of the news, UPSC may be directly asking about that scheme. So you have to name about that scheme in the answer. So these are some of the themes which can be repeated in governance. For example, topic can be asked about vulnerable sections. So in vulnerable sections, you can add the topic of health and education. So if we talk about governance and social justice, I think we must start from a topic of society, which is in GS paper 1. Because in society, we read about vulnerable sections. And in vulnerable sections, we read about the welfare schemes in GS paper 2. So we can start from there. We can name all the vulnerable sections. Then we can write about all the welfare schemes related to vulnerable sections. And in those vulnerable sections, we can add the topic of education, health, nutrition. So in this way, you will be focusing comprehensively in the governance as well as social justice part. And yes, especially if we talk about the governance part, so some of the core principles like transparency, accountability, rule of law, these all keywords must be there in governance. And yes, if I talk about the social justice, so I think everything must start from society as a topic. Then we must go for the social justice. That means the related schemes and the related committees, reports, etc.
Like how Divya Thakur ma'am said, each subject has its own way of answer writing. For every subject, there are some 10 to 20 keywords which you can pick up. For example, economy, if you read economic survey, almost every sector economy, they'll use almost same keywords only. Similarly, if you read polity, any standard answers and all, almost same words will be there. So those words shall be used. For that, I suggest you to take a paper, write down while reading polity notes, whatever, write down 10 to 20 keywords which you can use anywhere in polity answers. History also, almost entire ancient medieval history almost have similar kind of wording. That wording will be liked by the evaluator of that subject. That is very important. Also, the approach is different. Polity introduction should always be building the context. Conclusion should be giving your suggestions. Whereas economy, almost most of the times you can start with the current affairs related to the topic. And a conclusion, you can conclude with the reports, recommendations of economic survey, government of India, white papers, whatever. History also, conclusion can always be relating the usability of that for the present day. Like that, for every subject, you should have ready-made conclusions to some extent, ready-made keywords, reports. And in our mains answer writing program, guidance program, what we do is, while evaluating the paper, we not only give information about that question, we tell you overall how to improve that subject's answers. That is our uniqueness and specialty. That is why our students are always able to score good marks in general studies, because subject-specific guidance will be there. And we give subject-specific keywords and names which can be used in the answers. Similarly, if you go to GS paper 3, we have Vasanthi ma'am, who is specialist in environment, economy. She also got already 50th rank in UPSC IAS examination. So Vasanthi ma'am, about GS3, what is your insight?
Coming to GS3, like here the economy and environment plays an important role, and in the economy we should substantiate our answers with the points, like for example, if they're asking about buffer stocks, we have to provide like how much buffer stocks is there in India. The facts should be collected, the facts and figures. It is not just facts and figures, in the suggestions also. If we are providing the suggestions, we can mention that the committees like MS Swaminathan committee or Ashok Dalwai committee in agriculture has recommended this one. So like that's why I have writing the suggestions. And in the same way, if it is about public-private partnership, PPP methods, we can mention the Vijay Kelkar committee. So we have to substantiate our points which we are giving in the examination. That is one point which we can focus in the economy. And the second thing is, like we have to generate more points, we can follow a structured thinking approach. Like if it is about agriculture, we can follow a method of supply chain approach. Like if they're asking about the challenges in agriculture, we'll start with the production, like seeds and then soil and then irrigation and then to the marketing. So if we are following a structured thinking approach, then we can able to generate more points. In the same way, if it is about agriculture, we can follow structure, supply chain. And if it is about for example, in the economy or infrastructure, we can follow a stakeholder-based approach. If it is about PM Gati Shakti, like what is the significance of PM Gati Shakti? Like significance of PM Gati Shakti for the central government as a whole, if significance of PM Gati Shakti for the society and the economy as a whole, or significance of PM Gati Shakti for the state, like state governments. In that way, or state governments or state economy. In that way, we can generate more points. This will help you in generating more points. These are the two things in the economy. And coming to environment, like in the environment, there are more or less asking the themes which is repetitive. In the like there like around 10 questions in the last 10-15 years came in only about the climate change. Within the climate change, they are more focused on the COP summits. The major COP summits, anyway, we have to read about the major COP summits, like we have to read about Paris and Kyoto and also about the Glasgow Climate Pact. So these are the major climate pacts they are again and again they are asking. So we have to focus on climate change and the major summits. That is the one thing. And coming to biodiversity, and we have to like conservation of biodiversity and conservation of wetlands they are asking repeatedly. So like the environment themes are more or less repeating. So we have to focus there. And in that environment also, we have to list down the various major best practices which is within India and also around the world. For example, spongicity approach, spongicity method which was followed in China. So these major like world best practices and India's best practices we can list down, and we can like write the examples so that we can get more marks.
And like how Vasanthi ma'am said, broadly in economy the questions are, because of urbanization, certain economic structures are breaking and new structures are getting created. Almost everything falls within these ranges only. Also, globally, because of the changes happening internationally, the impact in India in various sectors. These are the two broad themes on which economy questions are designed, if you observe. Also, like how she said, structure of the answer, students always think that structure means writing introduction, writing body, and writing conclusion. That is not structure. Structure means whatever answer you're writing, you have to prioritize. Initially, you should write the importance of that point, then significance of it, then what are the challenges in it, finally suggestions, how you can solve it. That is called structure. So, if the answer, the points you write are continuously linked to each other, then only it forms a good structure. It is okay even if you write very small introduction, small conclusion, but the idea of the answer should be complete and comprehensive. So you have to focus on that. That's what we also focus when we evaluate the papers. The other thing is, when we evaluate the papers, generally we do it within 2 days, one to one. The reason is, within 2 days only, if we can evaluate, the answer is fresh in the mind of student. Most of the institutes across Delhi, Hyderabad, what they're doing is, they evaluate, send the answers after 5-6 days. By the time the student forgets the answer that he wrote, so it's of no use. That is the prime reason why many students opt for our mains test series and mentorship. Second thing is, we compare the answers. The other students who are writing the mains with us, we compare their answers so that students can learn introduction from somebody, conclusion from somebody, suggestions. Some students are very good at giving suggestions that you can learn from them. Some students are very good in integrating current affairs. Like that, learning from one another, peer group forms, importance than just the mentorship. That is another specialty of our academy, wherein we make them sit together, all the mains aspirants, and they can learn from one another. Means aspirants means those clear films and going for mains. Now, let us go to ethics. Ethics, though it is a single subject, it has 250 marks, which is equal to, in GS3 you have to learn science, technology, environment, economy, many internal security, disaster, together only ethics. So we have Harish, who is not only a ethics specialist, but also his optional is philosophy, because of which he has a good approach towards ethics. So Harish, why do you think in ethics students, though they work very hard, some students get very less marks? Some students, they spend less time, but they get very good marks in ethics. In fact, ethics, some students spend very less time, but they know the UPSC demand, the approach, they score very high marks easily. So that you should know if you're writing mains. So Harish, please give insights.
Sir, you are absolutely right. So when we observe the pattern of marking, we see that the students who have answered the demand of the question, typically they tend to get a lot of marks. And when we correct the papers also, sir, the trend we observe is there are two problems. First one is students focus too much on vocabulary. So they want to finish in one answer. They want to keep all kind of ethical values, honesty, integrity, probity. So it doesn't matter if it is the demand of the question or not. So that is one kind of weakness. The second problem is students try to write very generalistic answer without using any ethical terms. So both are bad. What is required is, while addressing the demand of the question, we should focus on including the ethical terms. That is the first thing, sir. Second thing is, in ethics, it is less about content memorization, more about creation. So it is about problem solving approach in the exam hall. So for that, what we require is a lot of practice. So students who practice, who brainstorm a lot, they tend to score more marks than the students who memorize and who do a rectification of the syllabus. So that is the second thing, sir. So for this, what we are doing in our academy, sir, is that we are focusing on the daily answer writing practice for ethics. So every day we are making the students write two like theory answers and one case study, such that they will get habituated to this thing. So initial level, we are focusing on the brainstorming part, and as students get more and more mature, we are asking them to write full answers, so that will give them enough practice in this 2 months of time, so that whatever question comes, they will not feel surprised and they will be ready to tackle. And another important aspect that I want to stress on is, sir, in the initial days when this ethics paper was introduced, case studies used to be a lot of marks getter. But as time progresses, what happening is that now part A of the paper, that is the theory part, is the differentiator. So people should start with part A of the paper instead of the case studies. So when you start with part A and start answering the questions in a balanced approach, as we discussed, including the ethical terms, including the examples from newspapers, including the demand of the question, that is explaining the topic, explaining the concept instead of focusing on the jargon. So when we do that, there is a high chance that you will get very high marks. In case studies, sir, generally what happens is they will give an ethical dilemma. So for that, students, what they can do is they can prepare a list of ethical dilemmas, like for example, conscience versus rules. So this is the most expected dilemma in any case study. So students should make a list of 20 to 25 most common ethical dilemmas that happens in life, and what are the conflicting values in case of these dilemmas. So by doing this, they will reduce the time required to solve the case studies. So these are the kind of approaches which will help in time management and the presentation of the answer in a concise manner, so that you will get more marks in the ethics papers.
Like how Harish said, not only ethics, overall mains answer writing, we are giving two options to students. One is they can write everyday answers. Every day they can write 7 questions in 1 hour, 6 to 7 questions in 1 hour every day. Another one is subject-wise exams, full exams, grand test we can write. The advantage of writing exam daily is they will be in touch with brainstorming, flow of thought, good handwriting, time management. They will be in touch with that for entire 85 days. That actually impacts a lot in the final examination. Second thing is subject-wise examination, so that they can revise subject-wise, and number of grand tests, so that they can memorize almost everything and they can revise their notes, do very well. So in this way, also the question paper preparation. We have the best research and development team of some rankers, experts, those who have gone to interviews, scored very high marks in mains, a team of people who are preparing the best possible questions for general studies mains. I can say without any doubt, as of now, our test series mains questions are best in this field. I can assure you that. So I suggest to write our test series, get them evaluated, see your model answers, and make use of it. Particularly, if you can come offline, it will be of high value to you wherever you are. Make use of it. All the best. Do well.